If this was a collection, how many of there would you be in that spot? If this was a collection, how many of there would you be in that spot?
Well, the thing is, this guy's got chickens right here.
Yeah.
I'm already right up to the edge of the horizon.
Good morning and welcome to eBay Live 2004. eBay's employees, all 6,500 of us, have one job: to make it possible for you to trade efficiently and safely 24 hours a day.
eBay really started as a collectibles site, and the second country that we went into actually was Canada. And the company, as we've kind of grown, has become more and more what we call the world's online marketplace. So whether it's collectibles, sporting goods, apparel, even cars, you can buy them on eBay. In any given month, 1 out of every 2 people who are online come to eBay. It took us 8 years to get to $1 billion in revenue as a company. It took us another year to go to 2. So the growth has been really extraordinary. And a big, what drives that is the interaction and the entrepreneurial spirit of the sellers who we really celebrate at eBay Live.
We've got about 800 or more auctions running, and we sell model trains. An empty Lionel from a post-war set, and it was just the box with no contents. And it was tattered, torn up. The labels were sort of, ripped up a little bit on the box. Had writing all over it. $800.
If they're auctioning off a pile of Army medals that day, I'll take advantage of that. If they're auctioning off fine silver that day, I'll take advantage of that. I like fishing lures, I like dinky toys. Whatever is selling now, so that I can break it down price per unit and turn that around on eBay, that's the way I approach it.
Okay, cool.
I sell literally anything from a thimble to a helicopter. Anything that I can get. We teach people that are disabled to list on eBay and to become independent for themselves. We've been in operation less than a year, and we've got over 120 students that actually list on eBay. My daughter's a quadriplegic. She was the first successful student that we had.
I've been collecting and restoring British cars since I was 16 years old. And in the course of 30 years, I've put together about 4 barns full of parts. Several months ago, I took one box of parts and I brought it in, and I made about $6,000 out of the first box.
We did buy a dress for $5, and it ended up selling for about $510. So.
I need you to critique this for me. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. I want to get rich on this thing. That's my listing.
Okay, let's look at the title before we do anything. Metal battery powered vintage space toy. Not bad. I don't know. Let me look at this. Is this not a knockoff? This is a real thing? They made reproductions of these. They make them in China, and they sell them legitimately as reproductions, and people bang them up and then sell them as old. I don't know. I'm not a toy expert. I just know I bought one once thinking it was old.
We've had 50 people look at this listing. Wow. So people are clicking on it because they're finding it, they want to see it, and something's turning them off. And I suspect it's the shipping price.
We are getting into developing cross-border warehousing solutions for people to help them realize being in a domestic market.
We provide products to eBay sellers. Anybody who wants to sell something needs to come to an eBay drop-off store and have us do it for them.
And we provide a one-stop deal where people can print out internet postage and ship out products right from their homes instead of going to the post office.
We allow contingency bidding, which is if you win one item, then bid on the other one. Otherwise, don't place the bid on the second item.
Our system's specifically designed for auction winners to check out through very robust websites where they are upsold, cross-sold.
Everything from custom and unique auction template design to sales and marketing plans, operations management, business development, and even website design.
We talk about small business job growth. We talk about community activity. We talk to them about internet taxes. We talk to them about cross-border taxes. Those are all things that are of importance to our sellers and our buyers as well, and something that we want to help them have a voice for.
Every business model has its limit, but here's a entity that's created not only its own economy but its own culture, and it's. I can't predict any plateau.
eBay does actually reflect the culture at large. A lot of things that happen within pop culture are reflected on eBay, especially when it comes to things like events. If somebody famous gets married, suddenly the number of items on the site for that celebrity, they increase. If somebody dies, suddenly there's a big interest. And that's kind of a natural thing when you think about the way collecting works.
There were 11,000 Ronald Reagan related items the week after he died listed on the site. I don't know how much it had gone up, because we don't normally track that sort of thing. But the vast majority of them were just Reagan memorabilia. I mean, there were books, bumper stickers, T-shirts, political pins from earlier campaigns, 1976 and 1980 and 84.
It is becoming a macroeconomic reality, eBay and the kind of global marketplace, but it's really microeconomic activity. It's individual people deciding whether or not they have the time today to go online and list something, or they want to actually spend some spare time to go buy something. The nature of how people become interested through friends and neighbors. We've looked at this a little bit, by the way, and about 2/3 of people who find their way to eBay is through a friend or a family member. So that's, those little activities that happen every day are certainly, what is at the core of eBay.
We don't look at a target size or a limit to the expansion. I think if we had to, we would say, as far as the globe is involved, as big as the population of the Earth, that would probably be the limit of our expansion right now.
We're trying to revolutionise the human-computer interaction. Having a familiar face on a piece of equipment, it does enhance the interaction and engage the individual.
The Persuasion Equation, MediaTV.
Avatars, 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 avatars on media television.
Met up with the interactive arm to the Press Association in the UK, and they were looking to put some kind of visual representation in front of the news that was being broadcast across the web. So we created the world's first virtual newscaster. She actually made the Guinness Book of Records, Anna Nova.
I am Anna Nova. Today's top story: Anna Nova launches the news of tomorrow. Coming up, the team who created me, and the technology that brings me to life.
We came up with our own utility computing vision. We call it Charisma. Charisma is essentially a hosted avatar service that has at its heart our core and now patented technology, which with text or voice inputs brings animation to life automatically.
I have the information you require.
You can literally just turn up on a website, record your audio straight into that website, play around with the character, and then download the clip once it's made. So you don't have any software to download, you just turn up on the website and go for it.
Hello, Welcome to B1, voice agent.
Research shows that you're 3 times likely, for example, to put in personal details if you're going through an interface that has an avatar as part of the interface itself.
If you are a customer, would you please identify yourself using your card and PIN code? Thank you.
The most popular application on the web and now moving on to mobile phones is personal messaging, peer-to-peer messaging. That's what youths like to do. 80% of MMS messages, which are multimedia messages, are sent by people between the ages of 16 and 24, maybe about 30-year-old in Europe. The age group changes by country. But predominantly that group likes to talk to one another, and they like to personalise their communication, and they like to make it different.
Be careful. It makes you feel so hot, you might forget your underwear.
The human interface is more natural for us to communicate than, not everybody can type, not everybody's kind of very good at navigating through content when they see it on a machine. So a character can help guide you that way.
These topics match the words you searched on. I've put the most relevant ones at the top. If these still aren't what you're looking for, try a different description or use the advanced search.
You use an agent, a virtual agent, to represent your company. Now that can be in the reception area, it can be on a website, it can be on a kiosk, it can be in any media, because as you know, our technology can create output that runs across multiple channels.
My name is Shona, spelled S-E-O-N-A-I-D. It stands for Scottish Executive Online News and Information Distributor. But it is also the Gaelic form of Janet. A fortunate coincidence, I'm sure you'll agree.
When we create a character, we call them he and she. They are characters. We give them a history, we give them a background, so that they've got to have that. So that if people are conversing with them, they've got to have some kind of point of reference.
That's private.
Everybody wants access to more and more information, and they want to keep costs down, but everybody does value that human relationship, and that's one of the benefits of our technology. You get all the benefits of automation, but you still get the benefits of that face-to-face communication.
You did well, young scholar. 3 out of 4 is not bad for a first pass. I'll see you anon.
You can imagine charisma chips being embedded into learning applications, into set-top boxes for television, into mobile phones.
欢迎您到 London Borough of Sutton. 一个郁郁葱葱。
Your avatar will be with you all the time with instant responses. It'll be like everyone will be able to have their own assistant in some respects, whether it's in a domestic or business role, or, kind of virtual pal, for the younger generations.
The first rule of Aftershock is you don't talk about. Wait a minute, that's bull. Tell all your friends about Aftershock.
There's a world of opportunity beyond this initial phase for our business, bringing avatars into our life.
Record companies right now, there's a huge market shift going on, and majors are pointing the fingers at downloading, but I think in actuality people are sick of mass-marketed bullshit. And as a result of that, they are turning to the internet.
Technology can make a small amount of people a lot of money.
I'd be a hypocrite if I said I never downloaded, because I have downloaded. But I'm a music fan. I've always bought records, and I always will buy records.
The soul of this machine has improved. The affection has been removed.
Now people have many more options. It's not just the music that you see and hear on TV, or just the music that you see and hear on radio. People have access to really anything that they want.
The fact that I maybe download 5 songs a year, but I download to hear something, and then I go and buy the record.
A lot of people say they're like, oh well, I'm gonna download it, and if I like it, I'll buy it. But come on, if it sounds just as good as unless you really want the artwork, which some people do, I think it thwarts people from buying stuff sometimes.
There are a lot of people involved that are a part of a collector culture and that want something that they can hold on to and keep, and you know, you can't do that with a file.
You can kind of think about it in sort of losing record sales for people downloading your stuff, but also there's a contingent that wouldn't have heard your music otherwise.
For young bands that are just starting out, the internet's invaluable. And it's something that bands never had access to in the past. And young bands now have a way to disseminate their music to really enormous groups of people who would never have access to it otherwise, and they can do this inexpensively and find ears that their music's going to resonate with in a very expedient and in a very inexpensive fashion.
You can't really stop it, can you? It's just sort of the wave, you know. There's always new technologies going to make things easier for people to get stuff.
It's also complicated by the fact that there isn't a united front amongst artists on the downloading issue, because some artists are like, hey, have at it, you know, I'll put MP3s on my website, you can, you know, Wilco's new record comes out, they're already streaming the entire thing on their website, as they did with the last record. They sold more records in the first week than they had in their entire career, and that record had been streaming on their website for 8 months. So Wilco fans had heard it, they all knew it, they knew they liked it, they went out and bought it because they wanted to support an artist that they liked.
Tall buildings shake, voices escape, singing sad, sad songs.
And a lot of artists are very happy to have that kind of exposure. It's free publicity.
The internet technology has moved so forward in the past few years that the music industry has been blind or has not wanted to do anything about it. They don't want to adapt. They want to keep the things the way they are.
It's time to pay for everything you make me say. I want you to say something, something.
Record companies right now, there's a huge market shift going on, and majors are pointing the fingers at downloading, but I think in actuality people are sick of mass marketed bullshit. And as a result of that, they are turning to the internet because, you know, they can look for whatever kind of music it is that they're searching for. And if they're exposed to it through a download, I don't see any problem with it.
I think everyone's been hurt by it quite a bit. I mean, financially, it's hurt us in the last year. Our sales were down significantly. We're happy that we can still be doing what we're doing, considering what's, you know, it's easy to buy one CD and burn 10 of them for your friends.
People aren't like frenzied about bands anymore. They're just frenzied about like one single kind of thing. There's no Iggy Pops anymore, and there's no one really gives a shit about most of these rock bands or anything like that, aside from the song.
It seems to me like everybody's spending way too much money, and now they're not making as much anymore, and now they're worried, whoa, look at that guy.
He's banned of that.
TV. There you go.
How you doing? You got on TV real quick. I wonder what that guy's opinion on file sharing is.
I'm not into for people getting arrested for file sharing. Obviously, that's like ridiculous because it's all like little kids. But you'd think there'd be a way for it to be limited. You know, to maybe, you know, they're starting to do it, like charging 99 cents for a download and so on. I mean, just a way to make it a little more fair for the artists.
My album was, you know, downloaded 2 months before it came out. And there's a kind of contingent of people that, like, you know, by the time it actually hit the stores, it was, you know, it was old. People had had it for ages, had downloaded it.
So if those kids now who are 15 years old and they grew up on computers and this is how they access their music, you know, if they don't realize what they're doing at that same time, then it may not never end.
Can you hear me?
Let's get her out of here.
The cassette tape came out. I guess everyone freaked out and they all thought it was going to like ruin the record industry because, you know, people were making tapes and bootlegging stuff like crazy.
It's a fundamental change in culture, just as CDs were, just as radio was. I mean, when radio came out in the 1920s, the music industry tried to prevent radio stations from playing songs, full songs on the radio, because they thought that people wouldn't buy records anymore. If they could get it for free on the radio, they thought that would be the end of the music industry.
Music's been changing formats ever since the beginning of recorded music, and what makes this any different? It's just that the industry needs to learn how to adapt, and they haven't figured out a good way to do that yet.
Home taping didn't kill music in the end, so downloading won't kill music. I'm sure there'll be, you know, I'm sure it will survive.
This year, 2004, has been an unprecedented year for virus activity. We saw in January the Medium virus, which was the largest threat ever. And then from that time on, over the next 3 months, we saw more medium threat or higher viruses than we saw in all of last year. Recently, one of the most devious things we've seen is a phishing scam, which is sort of like a spoofed email pretending to be coming from a company like your bank or like something else like that, generally financial institutions, saying that there's a problem with your account, you need to go to this website and update all your information. Now the fact is that these things are false, and they're essentially set up to steal all this personal information so that they can, you know, hijack your identity, steal your credit rating, and basically start stealing money from you. And that has been combined with more traditional viruses, so these things are actually spreading using not only email, but viruses as well. You have to take a layered approach to security that will include not only antivirus, but technologies like firewalls, anti-spam technology, and privacy technology. Sort of putting those things together, combine that with making sure that your Windows patches are up to date will really increase your security posture enormously when you go online.